श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम ओम सुखं नित्यं स्वप्रकाशं व्यापकं नामरूपयोः अधिष्ठानं बुद्ध्यबोध्यं बुद्धेर्दृग्यत्तु निर्मलम् अपारं सर्ववेदान्त वेद्यं प्रत्यक्परं महः तदेवाहं न मत्तोऽन्यत् इति मे निश्चिता मतिः. So we heard all the opponents' viewpoint. Since we are good people, we will forget. He is reminding us what are the opponents' viewpoint in each place. So we don't have to worry about remembering all that again. Okay. So Prayojana Visheka Akshepanam Samadhanani, he says from 83 to 106, whatever was the opponent's view, whatever was the opposition by the opponent, for each one of them, the answers are given. Samadhana is refutation, the answers are given. Okay, first, from 83 to 98, he is explaining the first thing the opponent established is that the bondage is real and it is not illusory, it is not superimposed. That is taken. Bandhaha satyah sacha jnanena na nivartateti akshepasya samadhanani. He said bondage is real and therefore it cannot be negated through knowledge. For this opposition, the answer is given first. 83. Bandhaha mithya. Bandhaha satyah na jnanena nivartateti akshepo asangatha bandhasya mithyattvena jnaneka nivartyatvat. So, what you said is, bondage is real, it cannot be removed through knowledge. This is not right. Why? Because bondage is illusory and it can only be negated through knowledge. There is no other choice. Yes, this is the first akshepa, so he is refuting it.
Am văzut punctul de vedere al oponentului, cu toată lumea explicat acolo pentru a susține. De la 83 urmează răspunsul Vedanti, Samadhana, și de la 83 la 98 avem toate contraargumentele aduse la acea idee a oponentului, potrivit căreia el a susținut și a concluzionat că înlănțuirea este reală și deci ea nu poate fi negată prin cunoaștere. Astfel, ai spus că, spune Vedantinul oponentului, ai spus că înlănțuirea este reală și nu poate fi negată prin cunoaștere, dar de fapt nu este așa și înlănțuirea este iluzorie și ea poate să fie negată numai prin cunoaștere.
Okay. So 84. So first he refuted that the bondage is real. That is refuted. He says bondage is illusory and it can only be removed by knowledge. That is said. But you have not established it. Okay, we'll establish it. How did you establish the bondage is real? Because these reasons, these causes which needs to exist for the bondage to be accepted as superimposed don't exist. So that is how he established it. So each one of them we will take. What was the first one among the five? There are five. The prior knowledge, the prior knowledge of the real thing. The prior knowledge of the real thing. That is the important thing actually. Okay, the prior knowledge of the real thing. So he says, Satyavastu jnanam adhyasye turiti na niyamaha. 84 is, there is no rule that you need to have the prior knowledge of the real object. Satyavastu, real object, real thing. Yes, he said the thought imprint of the prior knowledge of the real thing is important. You need to have the knowledge of snake. You need to have seen the knowledge, snake. But how many of us have seen snake? How many of us have seen snake, real snake in front of us? No. So when I show my snake, you say, okay, yes, I understand. So the real knowledge is not necessary. Knowledge is necessary, that's all. Knowledge of real object is not necessary for superimposition. Knowledge of the object is necessary for superimposition. That's all. So we'll go to that later. He says, Yaduktam. So now first he is presenting the opponent's view. Whatever the opponent said, that is what is said first here. Okay. Yaduktam, that what you said. What did he say? Paramartha satya vastu jnanam samskara dwara adhyasayetu. The knowledge of the real object through the imprints becomes the cause for superimposition. Through the imprints, the knowledge of real objects becomes the cause for superimposition. This is what you say. And like yatha paramartha sarpa jnanam samskara dwara pratibhasika sarpa adhyasayetu. Like the real knowledge of snake through its imprints become the cause for superimposition on the rope. Yadi bandhopi evam satyah syat tada satyavanda jnanam syat tatcha samskara dwara adhyasayetu syat. If the bondage is real too, then through the real experience of the real bondage, the thought imprint gained about the real bondage. The thought imprint of the real bondage gained through the real bondage. That should be first acquired. Only then you can talk about the superimposition. So that thought imprint becomes the cause for the superimposition. Simple. First he says, first he says, okay, what is the cause for the superimposition? The first cause is the prior knowledge of the real object, right? The prior knowledge of the real object. Then he goes on to say, if you have the prior knowledge of the snake, the prior knowledge of the real snake, then you can superimpose, because of that thought imprint, you can superimpose somewhere else. Only if you have the prior knowledge of the real snake, it creates a thought imprint with which you can superimpose on the other place. Similarly, you should have to have the prior knowledge of the bondage, and it creates a thought imprint which becomes the cause for superimposition somewhere else, for the bondage to be superimposed. For the bondage to be superimposed, you have to have the thought imprint, which is gained through the real bondage, to the experience of real bondage. So he says, na tatha advaita siddhanta. Now, if I say, yes, that is not how you accept in Advaita Siddhanta. Why it is not in Advaita? You don't accept the real bondage anywhere. You don't accept the real bondage anywhere. Here or before or hereafter. Never. So therefore, Siddhante Atmano Anyasya Anatmatrasya Asatata. Because in the Vedanta, in the Advaita, other than the self, everything is non-self, and all the non-self is non-real, is illusory. All that which is non-self is non-real, illusory. So where can you have the real knowledge? Therefore, tasmat samskara dwara adhyasa samagribhuta satyabandha jnana asiddhehe na bandho dhyastha iti vaktum shakyate. Therefore, conclusion he says, through the thought imprints of the real experience, which becomes a cause, to the thought imprint of the real experience, which becomes a cause for the superimposition somewhere, is impossible in Vedanta. Therefore, you cannot say the bondage is superimposed. Because the bondage is superimposed, you have to experience it somewhere real. There is no real other than the self. Nothing is real other than the self. So therefore, you can never experience the real bondage, which is necessary cause for the superimposition. Therefore, he says, Kintu Satya iti tadayuktam. Therefore, the bondage is not superimposed, it is real. This is what is his contention. This is what is his contention. So, that is not right. That is what he says. Tad ayuktam, that is not right.
I lost it completely from open evolution.
Why it is so simple? Where is your brain?
I lost it. Adrian?
He's still stating what the opponent
Nu,
said.
când te pierzi, eu cel puțin așa sunt, când pierd complet dacă mă, asta este, da. Poate,
Păi zice, zice scris și după aia dacă e ceva în regulă.
See, simple. Don't argue with it. Simple. You have to have the real. I am trying to explain what he said. Simple. I'll explain it in my words. The bondage is real or non-real.
Yes.
If the bondage is real, superimposed, if it is bondage is superimposed, then you have to have the knowledge of the real bondage somewhere.
Yes.
Can we have the bondage of real knowledge somewhere else? No, because other than self, nothing is real in Vedanta. Therefore, we cannot have the real knowledge of bondage anywhere else. Therefore, there can be no superimposition possible. Simple. That is what he says.
Vedanti, Guruji.
This is the point. No, this is what the opponent says. This is not the point of Vedanti. I told clearly he's presenting the opponent's point and says that what you said is not right. That what you say is not right. Oh, this is not Vedanti's point. Vedanta is.
I know, I understood, but I thought that this will come. His point will come.
No, Vedanti point I'm not going to say. Vedanti point is the big point. If we confuse with that, then we will not understand this.
Deci, ideea este că este tot vorba despre argumentele oponentului, care arată că nu poate fi vorba despre o adiasa, da? Pentru că, pentru a fi vorba de o adiasa, trebuie să îndeplinească acele condiții și acum suntem la prima, da? Prima ne spune că trebuie să existe acea cunoaștere a priorică a obiectului real. Deci, practic, trebuie să existe, de fapt, o cunoaștere din experiența obiectului real și spune că ca în cazul șarpelui, să zicem, proiectat în frânghie, trebuie să ai acea idee, dar trebuie să și fi văzut susține la acel șarpe. Și să ai acea cunoaștere reală a obiectului real, da? Din experiență. În același timp, el spune că nu este posibil în cazul înlănțuirii, pentru că nu poți să ai acea experiență a priorică, nu ai cum din experiență să știi, să cunoști acea înlănțuire și deci adiasa nu este posibilă, pentru că nu e îndeplinită prima condiție.
Okay, so the keyword is real. The experience of the real object. That is the keyword. The real is the keyword, not the experience of the object. Experience of the real object. So that is the precondition for superimposition. That cannot exist in Vedanta because Vedanta does not accept anything else other than self to be real. Over. That what you said is not right. Now the Vedantin speaks. Tat ayuktam. That is not right. Why? Nahi satyavastu jnanameva samskara dwara adhyasa hetu kintu vastu jnanamatram. See, you cannot say the knowledge of the real object, the thought imprint of the knowledge of real object is the cause for superimposition. The thought imprint generated by the knowledge of real object cannot be said to be the cause for superimposition. Then what? Knowledge of object. There need not be a real object. Knowledge of object is good enough for superimposition. How? Jnanasya vishibhutam vastu satyam va mithya vastu na tatradaha. See, the object of knowledge, whether it is real or not real, does not really matter. We are not bound by that. There is no compulsion that it should be real. Can be real or non-real, does not really matter there. Yadi नियमेन संस्कार द्वारा सत्यवस्तु ज्ञानमेव अध्यास हेतुरिति अभ्युगम्यते तर्हि वक्ष्यमाण अध्यासो न घटते. If you are going to still say no, the knowledge of the real object is the cause for superimposition, then the example which we are going to say will not fit in. The example which we are going to show will not fit in. If you still say only the real knowledge or thought imprint is important for the superimposition, then there will be a problem. What is your example? Tell me that. So first he says, Tatsahi, this is the example. Kaschit Purushaha Paramartha Amra Vriksham Ajananaha Aindrajalika Pradarshita Mithya Amra Vriksham Eva Vrisham Anubhuya Ayam Amra Vrisha iti Tadvachaha Shrutva cha Mithya Amra Vrisha Jnana Samskara Samskruto Bhavati. Okay, this is what it is. So a person does not know what a mango tree looks like. A person does not know what a mango tree looks like. So he goes to a magic show where the magician presents a tree and tells everyone, do you see this? This is mango tree. Now he has the knowledge of mango tree from what? From the illusion. And he thinks that is the mango tree. This is how mango tree will look like. Okay. Now he has the knowledge of a mango tree. There is no real mango tree. He has knowledge of mango tree. Okay, that is the idea. Now he has the thought imprint that this is the mango tree. With that, tasya kadachitapi kenachitapi pramanena madhuka vriksha visheka darshana shravanadi rupa jnanamapi nasti. And there is another tree called madhuka vriksha, honey tree they say. Okay. There is another tree called a honey tree. And he does not know that honey tree also. He has the knowledge of the mango tree through the illusion of the magician. And he does not know the honey tree also. Now, Sa Purusha Yadrichaya Margamadhye Madhuka Vriksham Kaschana Drishtva. Now he is traveling in some path. And there he sees a Madhuka Vriksha, a honey tree. Seeing that honey tree, what does he understand? Because he does not know honey tree. He sees the honey tree and he thinks, Amraksho ayam iti, Amraksha adhyasaha. He superimposes the mango tree on that and says, this is mango tree. I know, I saw the mango tree in the magic show. This is that mango tree. Without knowing that it is a honey tree. So, karoti. So, he definitely does the superimposition. This is the mango tree. Now, there is no prior knowledge of the real mango tree. But still, he has the knowledge of mango tree with which there is a superimposition happening. Soyam adhyasa Purvadi Mataritya na sambhavyate tasya purushasya satyamra vrikshavasheka pramahita samskara bhavat. So if you, as you say, you need to have the knowledge of the real mango tree, then this kind of superimposition can never happen. And the superimposition happens. Therefore, Siddhantetu. Then what do you accept in Vedanta? I'll explain. In Vedanta, Tasya Purushasya Aindrajalika Pradarshita Mithya Amra Vriksha Jnana Samskarasya Satvat Madhuka Vrikshe Amra Vriksha Adhyaso Bhavitumahati. For in Vedanta, since he has the thought imprint of the knowledge of mango tree. Thought imprint of the knowledge of mango tree. Real or non-real does not really matter. He has the thought imprint of the mango tree. Okay? And that he is using in the superimposition on honey tree. There is no issue. Tasma, therefore, Purva Sajatiya Vastu Jnana Janya Samskaraha Eva Uttara Adhyasa Hetu. This is the key point. What is the cause for superimposition? Not the real knowledge of the object, but a prior knowledge of the object. Not the knowledge of real object, but the prior knowledge of the object. Purva Vasaja. And that has to be, okay, there is one key word this here. Listen to me. I was shown in the magic magical mango tree. Okay. Now I have the thought imprint. Now I say, mango tree. Can I superimpose a mango tree on this bag? No. So what is required is of the same class. The thought imprint of the same class to be superimposed on the object of the same class. That is what is the reason for superimposition. Thought imprint of the same class superimposed on the object of same class. That's all. So that is what is the cause for superimposition. Either samskara janakam jnanam tad vishescha satyo vastu mithya vastu na adras. So he is concluding it. This kind of knowledge, the thought imprint which we gain through the knowledge, that object, whether it is real or non-real, we don't really care. We don't really care about it. Whether it is real or non-real, we don't really care about it. Samskara dwara jnanam hetu. Through the thought imprint, that knowledge becomes the cause. Thought imprint of the real object or illusory object, we don't really care that. Okay? Jnana janya samskaro heturiti pakshe api na arthato asti bhedah. So we don't even stick to, see, really, we don't even stick to the object itself. See, first thing is, he said real object. We said object, the thought imprint produced from the object. That is what our contention was. Now we go on to say, we don't really even care about the object. Just the knowledge. Somebody explains some object and tells this is how a snake will look like. That knowledge is good enough. So that is why he says, jnana janya samskaro hetiriti pakshe api narthato asti vedah. Even if you accept a thought imprint produced through the knowledge, thought imprint produced through the knowledge, even if you accept that, there is no issue for us. Whether it is real object or non-real object, we don't even care about that, we said. We don't even care about whether there is object or not. The knowledge itself is enough. So, yatho jnanam samskara hetuhu sacha samskaro adhyas heturiti avasitam. See, therefore, the knowledge is the cause for thought imprint. The knowledge is the cause for thought imprint. And that thought imprint is the cause for superimposition. Knowledge is cause for thought imprint, and thought imprint is cause for superimposition. Whether the knowledge is from real, non-real, or from another knowledge, we don't care. Knowledge is cause for superimposition, and knowledge is cause for thought imprint, and that thought imprint is cause for superimposition. What is that? Oh, it's okay. We are bugged by many things. Tasmad samskara dwara jnanam heturiti ukte api jnanajanya samskara eva adhyas heturiti siddhyati. Therefore, when we say through the thought imprint, the knowledge becomes the cause, we don't care really about whether the thought imprint is produced by a real object or non-real object or any other knowledge. So that is how we establish the superimposition. There is a repetition of ideas again and again, he says, and that makes sometimes the whole thing little confusing. So if you remove all that, what he said is simple. He said, you say that the thought imprint should be produced by real object for the superimposition. We say the thought imprint need not be produced by the real object. It should be produced by an object, that's all. Whether the object is real or non-real is not, it is immaterial. We don't care. So, if you don't accept that, then this example which we said will not be possible. What is the example? A magician creates a magical mango tree. You have the knowledge of mango tree. You take that knowledge of mango tree and you superimpose on another tree, which is similar looking. This kind of superimposition will never happen. So, we go on to the next stage. We don't even care whether the object exists or not. Even the knowledge which produces thought imprint without the object is good enough for us. We just need the thought imprint, irrespective of object. So that thought imprint is good enough for the superimposition. That is what is the whole idea. So he is repeating it again and again so that we understand it completely. Sometimes we lose that point.
Mai departe, în Vedanta, deci urmează punctul de vedere al Vedantinului, da? În Vedanta, ideea este următoarea, da? În Vedanta este necesară doar acea, nu este nevoie ca acea cunoaștere a obiectului imaginat, obiectului supraimpoziției, să fie o cunoaștere directă, să spunem, reală a obiectului real. Dar nu trebuie să fie o cunoaștere din experiență, o cunoaștere directă. Este suficientă ca acea cunoaștere să fie, este suficientă ca aceea să fie doar să avem acea idee, da? Ideea obiectului respectiv, nu trebuie să fie cunoscut din experiență într-un mod real, da? Și se dă un exemplu în acest sens. O persoană merge, nu știe cum arată un copac de mango și merge la un magician și acesta îi arată o imagine cu un copac de mango și fără ca el să fi văzut înainte, da? Fără să fi văzut un copac de mango și să fi cunoscut direct în experiență. Vedeți, acel copac dobândește ideea de copac, imprint, mental, tot functional. E vorba de ideea de copac, conceptul de copac, îl dobândește de la acel magician. Și merge mai departe, călătorește și vede un copac de miere, Maduca, da? Vede un copac de miere și crede că acel copac este un copac de mango. Da? De fapt, el face acea supraimpoziție și suprapune peste copacul de miere copacul de mango, pe care îl văzuse de la magician, fără să-l fi cunoscut din experiență directă, în mod real. Da? Deci îi fusese suficient acea idee, da, de copac de mango, pe care o dobândise prin imaginea pe care i-a arătat-o un magician prin experiența lui proprie, ca să facă acea adiasă, ca să facă acea supraimpoziție. Da? Astfel că este suficient această idee, da, a priorică despre obiectul respectiv. Nu este nevoie neapărat ca obiectul respectiv să fi fost, din supraimpoziție, să fi fost cunoscut în mod direct, în experiență și să fi avut acea experiență, să fi cunoscut a priori. Da? Este suficientă acea idee, acel concept. Da? Și mai departe, și tot repet această concluzie, da? Și mai departe este nevoie ca cele două obiecte din adiasa, din supraimpoziție, cel care este suprapus, imaginat și cel real, trebuie să fie din aceeași clasă. Mai departe, tot punctul de Vedantin spune că nu numai că nu ne interesează de unde avem acea idee a priorică de care avem nevoie în prima condiție, că a venit de la un magician, că nu ne interesează acest aspect, nu ne interesează nici măcar dacă obiectul este real sau ireal.
Okay, they are two different trees, right? This is pine tree and this is smaller one is, what is that tree? It looks like,
Tuya.
huh?
Tuya.
That's pine tree and this is tuya.
Yes.
So if I am going to be shown magically that pine tree, I will see this tuya tree as a pine tree without the prior knowledge, because it grows tall and it looks similar. So just that, okay, this is pine tree, I will see. Similar, it is there in front of us. Now, 85. कारणस्य कार्य अव्यवहित पूर्व कालवर्तित्व नियमात् संस्कारः एव अध्यास हेतुः. Now, what is the how does the samskara take place? That is explained, because for that samskara is the cause for the superimposition. So that samskara, that thought imprint, how does it take place? The rule is this: the cause should precede the effect. The cause should precede the effect compulsorily. So karanasya karya avyavahita purva kalavartitva niyamat. Avyavahita means without any separation. The effect is there and the cause is somewhere else. No, just before. Whatever exists just before the effect is called as cause. And that kind of samskara, that kind of samskara is called as is cause for the superimposition. Simple. Cause is samskara. And effect is adhyasa, superimposition. So if we have to have the effect of adhyasa, it should have to have the just prior to it the cause, which is thought imprint. So based on this rule, cause should precede the effect, closely precede the effect. Based on this rule, we establish the cause as samskara and the effect as adhyasa. Explain this.
Mai departe, suntem la 85 și cum se întâmplă această samskara, acest imprint mental, da? Care este cauză pentru adhyasa, pentru supraimpoziție. Regula este, există o regulă, da? Cauza trebuie să preceadă efectul, da? Nu există una într-o parte și alta în altă parte și samskara, da? Imprintul mental este cauză pentru supraimpoziție, simplu. Cauza este samskara, efectul este adhyasa, supraimpoziția. Dacă avem acest efect, da, la adhyasa, supraimpoziției, cu siguranță că avem ca și cauză imediată, deci cauză imediată, da, imprintul mental, samskara. Trebuie să preceadă imediat, deci este o cauză imediată, apropiată.
Closely, yes, immediate, yes. So, vastu jnana matram adhyasa heturiti tu na yuktam eva karanasya karya avyavita purvakala vartitva nima. So, there was first stage was the knowledge of the object should be real. The object should be real. The knowledge of the object, real object. Knowledge of the real object first. Then we said knowledge of object need not be real. Then we went on to say there is no need for any object itself. Knowledge is enough. Okay. Now he is going to say for the adhyasa, the thought imprint. Knowledge means thought imprint. That is what is enough. So he says, Vastu jnana matram adhyasa heturiti tu na yuktameva. You said the knowledge of the object is the cause for superimposition. That is not right. Why? Karanasya karya avyavita purvakala vartitva nima. Because the cause should immediately exist before the effect. Whatever immediately exists before the effect is cause. So, what exists immediately before the effect? Not the knowledge. Not the knowledge, not the object, but the thought imprint. So, thought imprint is what is the cause for superimposition. Tathahi. He is explaining that. Ghata karana. So, if we don't understand, the cause should immediately exist before the effect. He is explaining you what does that mean. Ghata karana danda chakradayo yatha niyamena ghatotpatti avyavita purvakala vartino bhavanti tatha. So, like for the pot, the cause is the wheel, the stick, etc. How do you know this? It exists just prior to it, immediately prior to it. For the pot to be created, the cause is the clay, the wheel, the stick, etc. to rotate the pot, to rotate the wheel. How do you know this? Because it just immediately exists before the effect of pot. Similarly, tatha here also. Tatha vastu jnana matra adhyasa hetutve tenapi nemena adhyasa vyavita purvakala vartina bhavyam. So if you accept the knowledge of the object to be the cause for superimposition, then it should exist before the superimposition, just immediately before the superimposition. If you accept the knowledge of the object to be the cause for superimposition, then it should exist immediately before the superimposition without any gap. Natu tathasti. We don't see something like that. And what do you see? He is explaining it with another example. Sarpajnanat param masanantaramapi rajjau sarpadhyaso utpatti darshanat. See, I see this. I have the knowledge of snake. Just after the knowledge of snake, I don't go on superimposing the snake anywhere. It takes even months or years to see the superimposition. So, the knowledge of the object is not the cause for superimposition. The thought imprint is the cause for superimposition. That is what he is going to establish. Therefore, vastu jnana janya samskarasya hetutvetu na dosha. If you accept the thought imprint generated by the object to be the cause for superimposition, there is no defect. There is no defect like this. Therefore, sarpajnanasya masat purvam nashtatvepi tad jnana sanya samskarasya rajjo sarpadhyasa avyavita purvakala vartitva. So, though the knowledge which you gained from the sarpa, from this snake, is lost, but the thought imprint exists. Therefore, that thought imprint becomes the cause for superimposition even later, whatever be the time. And that exists just before the superimposition. That thought imprint exists just before the superimposition compulsorily. Immediate compulsory existence should be there. So that is what he says. Tasmat jnana janya samskara eva adhyasyate. Therefore, the thought imprint produced by the knowledge is the cause for superimposition and not the object itself or the knowledge of the object itself. That is the idea.
Am vorbit despre acea cauză imediată pentru adiasta, pentru supraimpoziție și aceasta trebuie să existe imediat înainte de efectul supraimpoziției. Da? Se explică acest caracter imediat și ne dă un exemplu. Așa cum pentru vas cauzele materiale, cum ar fi lutul, instrumentele, da? Roata, bățul, trebuie să existe imediat înainte de crearea vasului, deci în apropiere, deci să fie o legătură foarte strânsă și apropiată, da? Cauză imediată se numește mai simplu, da? Pentru ca vasul să existe, da? Tot astfel, dacă accepti că această cunoaștere a obiectului ca fiind cauza supraimpoziției, ea trebuie să existe chiar înainte de supraimpoziție. Și nu vedem că se întâmplă așa. Dar cum? Și oponentul spune, am spus că nu cunoașterea șarpelui, da? Deci avem cunoașterea șarpelui, da? Dar după ce am dobândit acea cunoaștere a șarpelui, nu înseamnă că eu generez permanent, imediat și în toate situațiile o supraimpoziție și văd un șarpe peste tot, da? Deci nu cunoașterea șarpelui este cauza, pentru că nu avem acea condiție a cauzei imediate, da? Deci nu cunoașterea șarpelui este cauză pentru adiasa, ci imprintul mental generat de acea cunoaștere este cauză pentru adiasa, da? În cazul acesta, dacă acceptăm asta, nu mai este niciun defect, cum am spus mai devreme. Deci dobândim cunoașterea șarpelui, dar asta nu înseamnă că imediat noi îl vedem peste tot, vedem un șarpe peste tot, nu producem acel efect de supraimpoziție, da? Deci cunoașterea pe care o ai despre șarpe și chiar dacă aceasta este pierdută, da, se dobândește totuși, avem acea idee, da, sau gând sau imprint mental și aceasta este acea cauză imediată pentru supraimpoziție, da? Indiferent că acel imprint mental, da, este cauza imediată pentru supraimpoziție și nu cunoașterea obiectului este cauza și nici obiectul în sine și deci nici cunoașterea obiectului.
Okay. So 86. Atra evam akshepaha. So for whatever we said that the samskara, the thought imprint is the cause for the superimposition, not the object or the knowledge of the object or the object to be real. Okay. Now here he is presenting his doubt, his opposition. Karinena karyavyavita purvakalavartina bhavyam iti niyamo mastu. Let there be no rule. What kind of rule? The cause should exist immediately prior to the effect. Let there be no rule like that. Then what do you have to accept then? किंतु कार्य नियत पूर्व काल वर्तित्व मात्रम. There is a difference. Avyavita. Avyavita is the word. Avyavita means immediate. Okay? You don't have to say immediately it should have to exist. You just have to say it should definitely exist. That's all. Whatever exists definitely before, sometime, it need not be immediate. Definitely before the effect is cause. He's changing the definition for cause. We have understood cause to be something which definitely immediately exists before the effect. But he says it definitely is good enough, not immediately. Why? Do you have an example? He says, yes. Such a purvakale vyavhito vastu avyavito va. It can either be separated or immediate. It can be separated or immediate. It can just be before the cause or somewhere before the cause. Does not really matter. Before the effect. It can just be immediately before the effect or somewhere before the effect, not immediate. Kincha. यदि एकान्ततः कार्य अव्यवहित पूर्वकालवर्ती एव कारणम् इति नियमो अभ्युगम्यते तर्हि विहितं कर्म स्वर्गप्राप्तये निषिद्धं च कर्म नरकप्राप्ति हेतुरिति यद् वदत् शास्त्रम् अप्रमाणं से. Okay, he is giving an example. If you are going to say it should immediately exist before the effect, then the shastra which says that if you perform the prescribed karmas, you will go to the heaven. If you perform the prohibited karmas, you will go to the hell. That will not happen. Why? What is the cause? Prescribed karma and prohibited karma. When did you do? You did it long back. How can that take you to hell or heaven? So, Shastra will become useless. See how beautifully he is touching our nerve. He is going to the root cause. Shastra will become useless. So, therefore, Kaika Vachika Manasika Cheshta Rupa Kriyanam Eva Karma iti nama. And you have already established what is karma? Karma means the activity done by mind, speech or body. So, only these activities which are done by mind, speech and body is called as karma. Tascha kriyaha anushtana uttarakshane nashyati. And those activities are lost immediately after you do that act. I say a is destroyed, over. There is no more a now. I clap my hands. There is no more clapping, over. So, any activity you do that gets destroyed immediately after the act, whether it is physical, vocal or mental. So, he says, tasma, therefore, swarga narakadi phalapraptehi avyavita purvakale tat karanibhuta vihita pratisiddha karmani na santi. Therefore, the result of heaven or hell, which is caused by the prescribed or prohibited act, don't exist immediately before the result. Yatha eva etani vyavahita purvakala vartinyapi shubha karmani swarga narakadi prapti karanani bhavati evameva. Like, see, so therefore he is concluding the topic. He says, like these good and bad, these prescribed and prohibited activities become the cause later for the heaven and hell. Similarly, not immediately, later. Similarly, evameva vyavahita purvakalavarti sarpajnanapi rajjo jayamana sarpadhyasa hetur bhavatiyeva bhavayadeva. So, therefore, the knowledge of the object, snake, will become the cause for the superimposition which takes place later. Knowledge of the object snake will become the cause for superimposition later. Not the thought imprint of the knowledge, not thought imprint of the knowledge of object, not the thought imprint of the knowledge of real object. 3 states. We accepted thought imprint. That thought imprint can be from knowledge, from the knowledge of object, from the knowledge of real object. He is not accepting any of that. He is not accepting any of it. He says knowledge of the object is the cause for superimposition. How? Knowledge took place long back and superimposition takes place now. Like the activity done long back produces the result later. Similarly here too. He brought a beautiful example. Now we have to see how the Vedanti counters it.
Vedem mai departe punctul oponentului, aduce un contraargument și spune să nu luăm această regulă în calcul, că trebuie să existe o cauză cu un caracter imediat, cea despre care am vorbit mai devreme, da? O cauză foarte aproape, da, de producerea efectului, o cauză cu un caracter imediat, da? Dar cum? Și explică mai departe, nu trebuie să existe acest caracter imediat, acesta nu este necesar, ci doar să existe la un moment dat în timp, da? Evident înainte de producerea efectului. Da? Cauza nu trebuie să fie foarte apropiată de efect, poate să existe înainte într-un anumit punct, la un anumit moment. Practic este schimbată definiția cauzei, pentru că mai devreme am văzut în această definiție a cauzei că trebuie să aibă un caracter imediat, să fie foarte aproape de producerea efectului. Da? Și dă un exemplu. Dacă am considerat sau dacă acest caracter imediat al cauzei ar fi necesar, atunci ceea ce se susține în afirmațiile din Shastra nu ar mai fi valide. În ce sens? Am spus și am văzut mai devreme că acea karmă prescrisă, dacă este făcută, să obține acel rezultat al raiului, iar cea care este prohibită, dacă aceasta este făcută, se ajunge în iad, se obține iadul, da? Deci avem acțiunile prescrise de vedere și cele interzise, da? Efectele apar mai târziu, atât raiul și iadul nu sunt în proximitatea cauzei, da? Dacă ar fi necesar acel efect imediat, atunci aceste afirmații din Vede ar fi practic inutile, nu ar mai fi valide. Ce este karma? Karma se referă în acest context, dar ne referim atât la cea verbală, cea mentală și la cea fizică, da? Acțiunile corpului, ale vorbirii, ale minții. Aceste activități se termină chiar în momentul terminării actului. Rostești un cuvânt și karma respectivă s-a terminat chiar în momentul în care ai rostit acel cuvânt. Și aceasta este ideea, de fapt, că nu este nevoie de acel caracter imediat, da? Este nevoie doar ca acea cunoaștere a obiectului, în cazul pe care l-am dat, în exemplu pe care l-am dat șarpele, să existe în prealabile sau înaintea efectului și nu ne interesează dacă este vorba, și nu este de fapt vorba de acel imprint mental, da? Fie că imprintul mental al obiectului real sau iluzoriu.
Okay. So, he presented a very beautiful logic. It need not exist before, immediately before. The knowledge can exist somewhere and the effect can take place somewhere else. Example, the activity was done somewhere else at some point of time and the result of heaven or hell takes place at another point of time. Beautiful example. But how does the Vedantic counter it? 87. Tatra Samadhanam. This is the answer to your question. What is that? Naiva ayam sadhurakshepa. This opposition is not right. It's not a proper opposition. You just are saying for the sake of opposing it. This is not a proper opposition. Why? Okay. Tathahi. I'll explain. नष्टज्ञान कर्मादिकं यदि क्रमेण अध्यास स्वर्ग नरकादि हेतुर्भवेत् तदा. See what you said, the example, I'll take the example. You said the karma or the knowledge which is destroyed long back, the activity which is destroyed long back produces the result later, not immediate association, produces the result later. If it happens like that, the activity which are destroyed are going to produce the result later. Two keywords: activities which are destroyed are going to produce the result later. Later, destroyed. Two keywords. Okay. Now, if this is how you accept, then beautiful example. Tada mrita kulala nashta danda chakradayo api ghatadikaryam janaihi. The dead potter, the destroyed stick, wheel, etc. also should produce the pot. The dead potter, destroyed stick also should produce the pot later, because destroyed activity knowledge can produce the effect later. If it can produce the effect later, then why not dead potter or stick not produce the effect later? So this is all he is going to say. This is what he wanted to say. But if we don't understand this, he is explaining it. How? Yatha Rajju Sarpa Adhyasasya Vyavahita Purvakalavarti Sarpa Jnanam Karanam. Like the knowledge of the snake, which is a distanced, not immediate, which is distanced, becomes the cause for the superimposition of snake. The knowledge of the snake earlier becomes the cause for the superimposition of snake later. A. B. Yathacha Swarga Narakadi Prapte Vyavahita Purvakala Varti Shubha Ashubha Karmani Karanani. For the activities, good and bad activities which were done earlier becomes the cause for hell and heaven later. First example is the knowledge of the snake earlier becomes the cause for superimposition later. Second example, the activity of see, he said knowledge, activity. Two examples. Knowledge, activity which is separated can become the cause for superimposition later. First example, knowledge. Knowledge is a knowledge of snake. Okay. Earlier becomes the cause for this snake superimposition later. Second, activity. Knowledge, activity of a good and bad karmas earlier becomes the cause for the result of hell and heaven later. Okay. Now, tatha. Similarly, if these two can be, that which is separated, the knowledge and the activity which is separated, if they can produce result, then ghatasya api vyavahita purvakale, even the pot in a distance past, what happens? Idani vinashta kulala dandaka chakradayo. Now they don't exist. They existed in the distance past. Who? The potter, the wheel, the clay, etc. They existed in the distance past. They will become the cause. Oh, they are lost. That does not matter whether they are lost or not. If the lost earlier means lost, the lost knowledge or the lost activity can produce a superimposition or the result later, why not a lost potter produce a result later? Why can we not accept? Vyavahita, distanced. Okay. So, therefore, natu tata vineshtihi kuladibhi ghataha utpattimane. And we don't see any pot being produced by a destroyed potter, a dead potter, etc. Therefore, tasmad vyavahita purvakalavarti karanam na karyam janayet. The cause which exists away from the period of effect cannot produce any effect. The cause which is away from the period of effect cannot produce any effect. Kintu avyavhita purvakala vartyeva. But a cause which immediately exists before the effect can only produce the effect. So all this boils down to two ideas. One is a destroyed knowledge or a destroyed activity. If you accept it to produce a result, then a destroyed potter can also produce a pot. That is not seen so. Therefore, whatever is distanced cannot produce a result. Whatever is immediate, that cause only can produce a result. Therefore, what we said is right. Karanam karyopadam kshamati. Therefore, this immediate, what is immediate before the effect of superimposition? Thought imprint. Thought imprint is the cause for the superimposition. So that is established.
Mai departe suntem la 87 și vine contraargumentul vedantin la contraargumentul oponentului, care a susținut mai devreme, ne amintim, că nu este necesară acea condiție a caracterului imediat al cauzei pentru a genera un anumit efect. Da? Și ideea este că răspunsul vedantin vine și insistă pe necesitatea acelui caracter imediat. Este nevoie ca o cauză să aibă un caracter imediat față de efect ca să genereze acel efect, să fie în proximitatea efectului, dar înainte, în proximitate. Pentru că dacă nu ar fi așa, spune vedantinul, și dă un exemplu, să dă un exemplu pentru a explica, e ca și cum tu ai spune că un olar mort ar putea să mai producă un vas pe lut la un moment dat, da? Pentru că este suficient acel instrument, acea cauză să existe la un moment dat înaintea efectului, dar nu trebuie să fie acel caracter imediat, acea legătură de proximitate între cauză și efect. Dacă tu ai susține și se repetă, dacă tu susții acest lucru, cum că, de pildă, cunoaștere terminată, nu știu, am folosit cuvântul distrusă, dar nu știu dacă în română pot să-l păstrez și în română, chiar dacă nu merge așa tradusă, o cunoaștere distrusă, terminată, da, într-un anumit moment de timp în trecut, la fel și o acțiune terminată la un anumit moment trecut, da, la o anumită distanță față de producerea efectului. Da? Dacă tu ai susține că sunt suficiente pentru a genera acea supraimpoziție, că ăsta e efectul despre care vorbim, atunci ar fi exact ca în exemplu pe care l-am dat mai devreme, în care un olar mort ar putea să producă un vas de lut ulterior. Da? Deci, ce face vedantinul? Insistă pe acel caracter imediat al cauzei. Este necesar ca acea cauză pentru producerea supraimpoziției să fie imediat premergătoare efectului, da? Supraimpoziției, iar acesta este, de fapt, acel imprint mental. Da? Imprintul mental este cauza pentru producerea supraimpoziției.
So when she started, she said the opposition of the Vedanti is not proper, and she immediately corrected. Right?
No.
You laughed at it, I thought, okay?
No, I said is un contraargument la contraargumentul oponentului. It is an opposition to the opposition of the opponent.
Okay. So I thought it was...
No.
Wait, no. Then you corrected, I thought. Okay, anyway. I remembered a instance. We were attending a class of this great master who called Kashi Kanda. Okay, very old man he was even then. So we were attending, he had come to Haridwar, we were attending his class because one of my friends was his disciple. So he invited us, we stayed there with him and we attended some class, few classes, 2-3 classes. So while the class takes place, this disciple, he does not understand Vedanta, he does not understand Vedanta from the Purvapaksha. Okay, that is the idea. So he will say, Wow, Swamiji, what a beautiful opposition this is. Then he will say, oh, Dayananda, this is not an opposition, this is the Siddhanta Paksha. Then, when Siddhanta, Vedanta is said, oh, this is a very beautiful opposition. This is not opposition, this is Vedanta. He'll always confuse with Vedanta with Siddhanta and Siddhanta, Vedanta with opposition and opposition with Vedanta. Okay, so anyway, so I remembered that. Apurva, so next, okay, what did we establish here? That the cause should exist immediately before the effect. Whatever exists prior somewhere before the effect cannot be the cause. That we established. But if you say in this way, then your Vedas will become without any validity. Why? Vedas teach you to perform karma, and it says it will give result of hell and heaven. How can that be? A destroyed karma, how can it produce the result? You didn't answer my question. Okay, we are coming to that. He says, Apurva Rupasya Karanasya Karya Avyavahita Purvakala Vartitvam Niyamaha Swargadi Vishayapi Asti. So, we said that the effect, the cause should immediately exist before the effect. This rule exists even in the case of the result of hell and heaven also. How? He says, Vartitva Nima Swargadi Vishayapi. Even in the Swarga etc. also, this rule exists. How? Tathahi. This is how it is. Shubha karmanyapi na swataha kalantra bhavi swarga narakadi prapti hetavo bhavanti kshanikatva. See, this we have to understand. The good karma and bad karma do not become the cause for the hell or heaven. The good karma and bad karma do not become the cause for hell and heaven because it is momentary. That which is momentary cannot become the cause for the effect of hell or heaven at a later point of time. Then how? So it is kintu. This is the key. Tani karmani swanasha uttarakshane dharma dharmakya apurva samskaram utpadayanti. This karma which you perform, the good karma or bad karma, the prescribed or prohibited karma, they, while it is completed, meaning it is completed means it is getting destroyed. When it gets destroyed, it does not go like that. It gives an imprint, like thought imprint, it gives an imprint, it makes an imprint. That imprint is called as a apurva. Apurva. That is given a name called apurva in Purvamamsa. So he is using that term. And that apurva is called as dharma or adharma. That apurva is a dharma or adharma. Dharma for good acts and adharma for bad acts. Okay, that is important. See, before explaining that, we'll understand what apurva is. When you perform a karma, it leaves an apurva. When you perform a karma, it leaves an apurva. There are two kinds of apurva. One is anga apurva. The other is phala apurva. Okay, one is anga apurva. The other is phala apurva. Anga apurva means you get the result for each of the karma. You perform a karma, you get a result. You don't perform a karma, you don't get a result. Example, there is no water here. Okay? So, like that, you perform a karma, immediately there is a result. Okay? That is called as apurva. Now that is anga apurva. One limb. Anga means limb. The result of the limb is called as anga apurva. Okay? Then there is called as phala apurva. Something called as phala apurva. Phala apurva means the collective apurva. Okay? Let us suppose we have to cook a food. Cook a food means we have to season it, we have to fry it, we have to boil it, etc. All this. So even if one of them is not done properly, then the collective food will not come properly. Right? Similarly, here, if for a karma there are 10 steps you have to perform, you have to tick all the 10 steps. Even if you don't perform one step, that anga apurva will not be gained. The apurva, the dharma of the limb will not be gained. If that is not gained, the collective, which is called as phala purva, will not be gained. So every part in the karma is as important for the result to be complete. Every part. So therefore he says, kintu taucha dharma adharmo antakaranam ashritya tishtata. And where does this, okay, the karma you perform, the karma is destroyed, and that karma leaves an imprint. That is called as dharma or adharma. And where does this dharma and adharma reside? They should have to stay somewhere. They cannot be tailing us. They should have to be attached. Where? To my skin. No. You lose your skin, your dharma and adharma is lost. So it should be somewhere. Where is it? Where does it reside? It resides in the antakarana. It resides in the antakarana. The dharma and adharma are associated with the antakarana, the mind. Okay, the good and bad activities are the result of the good and bad activities are associated with your mind. And this mind is what leaves the body when you are dead. So it takes along with it the imprints. That is why he says, Tena dharma dharmadina karya avyavihita purvakala vartina swarga narakali phalam kalantram siddhiti. Okay. So what is producing the result? What is producing the result of hell and heaven? Not the activity itself, but the adharma and dharma. Adharma produces hell and dharma produces heaven. That, where does that exist? That exists in the thought, as thought imprint in the mind. So that effect of hell and heaven, just immediately before that the thought imprint exists. The karma is lost somewhere, but it has produced a seed of thought imprint which fructifies later, and it exists just immediately before the effect of hell or heaven. Okay? Therefore, tataha dharma dharmadi nashyati. And once it produces the effect, you cannot say, I will have the cake and eat it too. No. Once it produces the effect, this dharma and adharma, this apurva, it also gets destroyed. It has given the result. It's over. Its function is over. Therefore, etat abhiprayena eva shastre shubha shubha karmani apurva dwara phala hetavo na sakshat iti uchyate. Based on this, the Shastra very categorically says that the good and bad karmas through the apurva generates the result and not directly. The good and bad karmas through the apurva or dharma produces the result and not directly. Dharma adharmayo eva. This dharma and adharma, whether you call it dharma or adharma, does not really matter. This dharma and adharma is what is referred to as apurvaha, adrishtam, punya ityadi shabdaha vachaka. Whether you say dharma or punya does not really matter. Whether you say adharma or papa does not really matter. Whether you say apurva for them or adrishta for them does not really matter. Adrishta is another word. They are all synonyms. Adrishta, apurva, punya papa, dharma. They are all synonyms. Okay? Now, kechana dharma hetuhu bhut hetu bhuta shubha shubha karmanyapi dharma shabdena vadanti karya karanayoha bhedat. See, some people also apply the word for dharma and adharma for the activity. See, dharma and adharma are not activity, it is the result of the activity. But some people also use the word for the activity itself. He is doing dharma. He is doing adharma. He is doing a good activity. He is performing a bad deed. So he is doing punya. He is doing papa. We say that. Why? Because this is another key point in the Vedanta. Karya karanayor abhedat. This is one important point in Vedanta. Karya karanayor abhedat. There is a identity between the effect and cause. We don't see the cause and effect to be different. In Vedanta, we don't see the cause and effect to be different. Cause and effect are identical. Cause and effect are identical. Based on this, we say the name of effect in the cause and the name of the cause in the effect. Okay? Lokepi. He is establishing the same idea in the world also. In the world too, we use this word Shubha Karmakarinam Ayam Dharma Charati Mahatma. When a person performs good deed, we say this person is performing dharma. And Ashubha Karmakarinam Ayam Adharma Charati Dushtaha. This great man is performing dharma, we say, for good deeds. And this bad man is performing bad deeds, adharma. This bad man is performing adharma. This good man is performing dharma. This bad man is performing adharma. We say this in this world also. Vastu tastu, in reality. These are all to explain the idea. But this is the reality. What is the reality? This reality means this is the Vedanta. What is the Vedanta? This Vedantic question. Shubha Shubha Karmanoho na saksha dharma dharma shabda vachyatvam uchitam. We cannot use the word dharma and adharma to be synonyms to shubha and ashubha, auspicious and inauspicious. We cannot use the word dharma and adharma for auspicious and inauspicious activity. Apitu, shubha ashubha karmanoho dharma dharmo janayata. But we have to understand this auspicious and inauspicious activity produces dharma and adharma. It produces dharma and adharma. That was our first question. In between, he changed the position. Now he is coming back to the same position. Tasma, therefore, Shubha Shubha Karmanoho Dharma Dharmatva Prasiddhi. Therefore, the word Shubha and Ashubha, activity auspicious and activity inauspicious, are referred to as dharma and adharma. Ayurvai Ghrutam Itya Iti Ayurvardhaka Grute Ayushabdah Shastrine Yatha Prayujyate Tatvat. How can you use? See, what he says is, in the word Shubha is the cause and dharma is the effect. Now, since the cause and effect are identical, we use the words of this in that and that in this. Like what? There is a statement, Ayurvai Ghrutam. Ghrutam means ghee, ghee, and Ayur means life. Definitely, ghee is a life. Ghee is life means it extends the life. So now Ayuhu, the word Ayu, definitely Ayu is Ghrutam. Ayu is a lifespan. Lifespan is ghee. We use the word lifespan or life for the word ghee. Ayu means lifespan. Ghee means ghee, clarified butter. Now we use the word lifespan for what? Ghee. We use it as synonym. Ayu and Ghrutam, we don't use it as different words. We use it as synonym. So, yatha prayujyate tadvat. Like that here also, the dharma is explained as a shubha, or the shubha is explained as dharma, and ashubha is explained as a adharma. Tasmat avyavita purvakala hetuna bhavyameva. Therefore, in conclusion, what are you saying? This is the conclusion. The cause should immediately exist before the effect. That's the conclusion. The cause should immediately exist before the effect. So we cannot say, the destroyed activity produces a result. No, the destroyed activity does not produce a result. The destroyed activity creates a thought imprint which resides in the mind, which is called as Shubha, Ashubha, which is called as Dharma, Adharma, or Apurva, or Adushta, etc. That produces the result. Once it produces the result, this also gets destroyed. That is what is the idea. So the idea is not the activity itself producing the result. The idea is the in between, which is called as Apurva. That is producing the result. Like in the case of our superimposition, the knowledge is not producing the superimposition. The thought imprint generated by the knowledge produces the superimposition.
Punctul Vedantin a stabilit că este nevoie de acel caracter imediat al cauzei pentru ca efectul să fie generat. Cauza trebuie să existe în imediata proximitate anterior efectului, da? Bun, și oponentul spune, da, dar în cazul acesta, dacă am acceptat acest lucru, vedele devin inutile. Am văzut și mai devreme această idee, da? Ele nu mai sunt valide, pentru că acolo sunt prescrise anumite acțiuni pe care dacă le faci ajungi în rai, deci în acțiuni care le faci practic în trecut și efectul raiului apare mai târziu, sau sunt interzise anumite acțiuni pe care dacă le faci, atunci ulterior, la un anumit moment, ajungi în iad. Există practic o distanță, pare că ar exista o distanță între ele, între cauză și efect. Deci această regulă pe care tu o susții, spune oponentul, nu poate fi. Da? Nu putem să considerăm acel caracter imediat ca fiind ceva necesar. Da? Pentru că altfel vedele ar deveni invalide, acest argument. Da? Dă acest exemplu. Și urmează și răspunsul Vedantin, care spune că nu este așa. De ce? Pentru că, de fapt, acele acțiuni pozitive sau negative, ele nu devin o cauză în sine pentru rai și pentru iad. Da? Pentru că ele sunt temporare. Da? Ele nu sunt o cauză în sine, ci produc un imprint, da? Creează un imprint mental numit apurva. Da? Apurva. Apurva, care este dharma sau adharma. Dharma pentru acțiunile pozitive și adharma pentru acțiunile negative. Deci orice karmă lasă un apurva, un imprint mental, da? Și acesta este de două feluri. Avem apurva, anga apurva și phala apurva, da? În primul caz, anga apurva obții rezultatul pentru fiecare acțiune în parte, iar în al doilea caz, fiecare, să zicem, avem 10 pași pentru a obține un rezultat, 10 pași în acțiunea respectivă, etapă, da? Fiecare pas al acțiunii respective este important, dacă unul este greșit, nu obții acel rezultat colectiv, să zicem, final, da? Deci, karma, practic, lasă acest apurva, dharma sau adharma, da? Care este atașată unde? Este asociată cu antakarana, acel organ, mintea, da? Organ de simțire. Mintea, da? Mintea părăsește corpul, da, la moarte și ia cu sine aceste imprinturi. De aceea se produc, și atunci aceste imprinturi, da, apurva generate de karma care a fost făcută la un anumit moment în trecut, da, acestea sunt cele care generează raiul sau iadul, da. Generează în sensul că se ajunge în rai sau în iad, da. Deci nu acțiunile în sine sunt cele care generează, da? Pentru că s-a adus acest contraargument care exista acea distanță între acțiune și între cauză și efect, ci acela curva, acel imprint mental, da?
In the world also we use the same thing. That example.
Și unii se folosesc de asemenea și cuvintele dharma și adharma se folosesc de multe ori pentru a denota o acțiune pozitivă sau negativă. Deci se spune că face dharma sau face adharma, da? Pentru că în Vedanta oricum există acest principiu că de fapt cauza nu este diferită de efect, este identică cu efectul. Dar există o nuanțare. Guruji, I think I lost it, Shubha and Ashubha.
Shubha and Ashubha is auspicious and inauspicious.
Da.
Mm.
Există o nuanțare în sensul că acțiunile auspicioase Shubha, dar de fapt produc acea dharma, da? Și cele inauspicioase Shubha produc adharma. Nu există neapărat identitate. În lume întâlnim această echivalare și de multe ori se spune faci adharma sau faci dharma, da? Concluzia este că
Example, Ayurveda Kritam.
this I lost completely
Yes.
because I was repeating in my mind what I already wrote.
Ayurveda Kritam. Ayu is lifespan. Vai definitely. Kritam, ghee. Ayu, vai Kritam. Lifespan definitely is ghee. So the word ghee is used, the word lifespan is used in the sense of ghee and vice versa. We use lifespan and ghee as synonyms. That is what it is.
Da, există un exemplu, să dau un exemplu că durata vieții este G. Da?
Mm.
De fapt, le echivalăm, toate că ele în sensul propriu nu pot fi echivalate, dar sigur în sensul implicit, da? Le putem echivala, este la fel.
Therefore,
Astfel, concluzia este că trebuie să existe acea cauză care să aibă un caracter imediat față de efect, da? Și nu activitatea, nu acțiunea.
that's all. It should exist immediately before the effect. That's all. The cause should definitely exist immediately before the effect. Like the thought temperament immediately exists before the effect of superimposition. The thought temperament immediately exists before the effect of heaven, hell, etc. So the cause should exist immediately before the effect. That's the rule. There can be no choice there. That is the idea. Okay, we see this. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.